Welcome back to RFM. Last time we assembled my version of the Dropbear. This video has been well overdue. It's been delayed for about 2 weeks due to things happening around with life and stuff. But I'm not going to bore you like that. So today we're going to go through some simple wiring procedures and trying to commission this up so it's running on my new ECU that I built. In my earlier video, which I'm going to leave in the top right hand corner if you want to check it out, I built my own ECU using the Dropbear 2.01 standard, and I made my own standard one, which is a single cylinder dual stage injection ECU with all the fat trimmed off of it. So I'm not going to go too far into depth with saying what wires go where on this, but basically it's just all the inputs, outputs and what we need to run the engine. The important thing is know where you are, don't connect up to the wrong thing, you don't want to blow anything up. Having a little poke around at the existing wiring, I found there was an issue, well, a potential issue later on. The speed sensor wires are heavily corroded. They will need to be sorted out at some point. I picked these cheap Amazon crimp tools up. They're quite inexpensive, and if you're lucky enough you can get the right one in a kit form with a load of sockets. I've not gone for any pre-wired sockets on this, apart from the ignition coil later on. But sadly, my Haltech coil, as you can see in the background there, I managed to explode. In Tuner Studio, I managed to invert the ignition on this, so it was, instead of going high, it was going low, or vice versa. But anyways, there was smoke bellowing out the side of it where it overheated. I was not pleased. This really didn't make my day. I'm going over every single one of these connectors on here. The one I'm doing now is for the Haltech coil. These connectors alone are like a lot of money to start with. You know the saying, cut once, measure twice. And this is what I didn't do. I thought I went over everything beforehand, but obviously I missed the actual coil setup. The high tension leads, I'm using the AccuSpark silicon nylon ignition leads on there. You have to cut these to the right size. I understand these are a pretty good high quality HT lead, but to be honest I prefer the copper core ones. I don't have the correct tool for doing the actual connector for the HT lead, so I'm using 2 mold grips, one pointy nose ones and one straight nose ones, just to crimp the end over. It seemed to have worked alright. I'm installing the Kawasaki Ninja 250 single throttle body into its new home now, and the connector for the throttle position sensor. There is a load of wiring to go through, but I've tried to simplify everything where possible. So I'm doing all the connectors at the moment, every single one methodically. The one you see here now is the Hall effect sensor which I've installed. I initially was going to use a single tooth trigger setup on the flywheel itself, but I soon changed my mind and went for a 24-1 trigger wheel. I'm going to have to 3D print a load of things for this bike, so a new side cover and a mount for the actual Hall effect sensor itself. That'll be for the next episode I imagine, as I've got to take measurements and design it in some kind of CAD software. It's important that you don't mix any of the signal wires up. You don't want to have a false signal from somewhere. So the ground for the 5V isn't just ground for the whole bike, it is a signal ground. It goes straight to the ECU. Same as a 5V, that goes straight to the ECU as well. But they're all tied together. If anything's running on 5V, it's going to have that same ground system on there. It's not going to be grounded to the bike or anything. This eliminates any sound. The cover there, you can see the Hall effect. I've drilled the side of it just to see what was going on. Don't worry, this case was toast anyway. It had some melt marks on it and it was far from standard anyway. But this was the first iteration that, as I said, the Hall effect sensor will be mounted differently. I might even change it for a smaller one. Any recommendations for a smaller Hall effect? Let me know. This sensor is off a B&W. Well, it's a B&W style one. At this point, trying to find a connector for the injector was very hard for me. So I went on Amazon and I did find a few on there, and they all turned out all wrong, except for one. I haven't showed the installation of it, but it's just the same process what has been going already. As you can see in the background, it's just another connector. This wire here goes straight to the ECU and is the actual trigger for the injector. These connectors are generic. It's a Delphi, I think it was a 22 connector, correct me if I'm wrong. It's a schema connector I think, or something like that. If I said it wrong, I'll put it on the screen. Well, either way, I'll put it on the screen. I found if they're not quite crimped just correctly, they won't slide down properly through the actual connector itself. But you can just push it in. I'm trying to keep the loom I've made myself as tidy as possible as I go around. So I'm using some heat shrink to keep some of those pairs together. And also, if anyone knows how to splice 3 wires going into a nice thick one, let me know. I've done my best here. I've used a mechanical sleeving and the actual thicker wire there with a bit of heat shrink either side. It's got a mechanical connection, it's not soldered. I heard mechanical connections are always better on a motorcycle than a soldered one. Is that right or wrong, or is that an old wives' tale? At the end of the day, this is just a hobby of mine. If I'm doing it not quite right, let me know and I'll see if I can amend what I'm doing, or even get the right thing what I'm meant to be using. So I've got several of these little crimp tools. They all do different things, all different sizes. There's no such thing as one tool does all. They're all different ones. So what I'm doing here is checking to see where top dead center is, and I'm just using a vernier caliper at the moment. This gives you in the ballpark where you can see where it is. I've sprayed my actual rotor itself white and I eventually marked it off. Then I changed the idea. As I said, I changed it for a 24:1-2 trigger wheel. I put the rotor onto my lathe to do a little skim cut, and to be honest, it come out pretty well, to be fair. If anyone else is trying to figure out how to put a timing wheel onto a Rotax 122 engine bike, this is how I did it. I found a connector which is M12 by 1mm thread, and I put that over the actual crankshaft itself. I machined a little shoulder on that, and I found a timing disc off of eBay. It was so I could find out exactly where top dead center is. I bought this tool off of Amazon. It was £33, and it just simply goes into the spark plug, and it is a dial indicator, and it just rests on the top of the piston crown. You can see exactly where top dead center is. Then you just simply put the disc in. Line it up to a top dead center with a point of reference on there. It needs to be a fixed solid point on there. In the background you can see the Hall effect sensor strapped in with a couple of zip ties. It is completely temporary, but it's okay for testing purposes to see things working. I will be making a proper bracket up using my 3D printer, as I said earlier. Once you're happy with things, you line the top dead center up to a fixed point on the bike. I used a bit of aluminium TIG wire using the 2 holes which are on the actual bracket of the VR sensor, and just simply made it so it don't flex as much as it would do. This will help you find your static timing in Tuner Studio. Once you've got 0 degrees on there, you can dial it in. It took me a couple of attempts to find out, and all you do is just alter the settings in Tuner Studio itself, and away you go. The tools I'm using are nothing special. This is an Amazon special strobe light. Since the camera struggled to pick up the flash, you are looking for the timing mark to align with the pointer at the exact point it flashes. This confirms the static timing is dead on. At this point, I'm confident that I've got enough information to try to start the bike in the Tuner Studio. Before I finish this episode, I want to show you all a little bit of what happens behind the scenes through Patreon. If you like following along with this project, I have made project files available so you can study and design, also build your own version of the ECU. If anyone is interested, I do have a limited number of version 2.01 boards available, and also my single cylinder version. These are all limited numbers, so once they're gone, they're gone. There may not be any more available immediately, but if it's popular, I will make them available. The boards you are seeing here are for Jasper. I'm preparing both for them to be dispatched checking everything over and getting ready to send them out. This is not another stage for a bike installation, it's simple one of the Patreon orders being prepared for someone who wants to follow along and build the same project themselves. It's very interesting, his project, what he's going to do. He's going to be building a pulling tractor, I understand. It may not look exciting as start as the engine, but someone who has made sure the circuit will survive the glamorous world of packaging and posting. The boards have now been sent out to Jesper. I wish you all the best and good luck with your build. I hope everything goes together smoothly, and I'll be interested to see how you get on with it. I also want to thank Sarah as well, who is the newest Patreon member as well. If you're following the project yourself and you're planning to build your own version, or you're mainly here for the RS125 develop, let me know in the comments. And if you have arrived from my earlier RS125 ECU video, that episode is linked on the screen now. Thank you for watching, and thanks to everyone who's supporting the project through Patreon.